Nail check. Hi everyone, my name's Katie. I live in Chicago, Illinois, 30 years old, and I don't know why I'm doing this intro like it's a dating show. This is Enzo, my pride and joy, love of my life besides my husband, dear child that he is. And he is emotional support for me, but I can't let him know it or else he gets stressed out because God forbid he be supportive in any way, right? Okay, so I am a bookish person. I like reading, literature. I'm in a master's program for English literature through Southern New Hampshire University. It's all online. It's incredible and I love it, but it feels like my office, which is what we're in now with like all the book collection, which is like from the floor all the way up there with a bunch of stuff on top. I feel like my bookshelves are, if you've ever seen Friends, like Monica's secret closet where all of her mess is, that's this, as you can see, because I've run out of space for books and I have, some of them have double stacks, like the backs, the shelf is full in the back and then there's a new stack in the front, and books are just kind of anywhere I can stick them because I've run out of space. Part of that also, let me just be transparent with you, I have you on a tripod standing on top of the Wheel of Time books. So thank you, Robert Jordan, for the support. And I guess also Brandon Sanderson can be co-signed there. I just learned about Book Buddy, which is where you can take every book that you have, scan the ISBN barcode, and it'll like make a log of all of your books. And then you can further go into the app and then organize them and like categorize them into series, everything like that. So I want to do that very badly so that I know what I have, because there are classics that I want and like I guess what are now like banned or challenged books. I want to make sure that I have copies of them, and some of them I think I have copies of, but I'm almost certain that I don't, after just glancing over the shelves. So I'm a big Squishmallow person, but only like cows, Bigfoot, and I think that's it. There's the occasional exception, okay? I have this big chair and a half in my office, which is like a reading chair, and there's a bunch of Squishmallows. Like I said, these are the Bigfoots, but behind this chair in this corner is a smaller shelf, much like that shelf, which also has books on it. But I think behind that chair, the books on that shelf are textbooks, because I am 2 bachelor's degrees and then 1 master's degree almost deep, and I emotionally bonded to some of my textbooks. I just couldn't let go of them because I spent so much time with them that I consider them a part of me. And they're only taking up a little space in my life, but they bring me a lot of joy whenever I do take them out and look at them. I think that minimalism is for the rich to enjoy. I am poor and I need my things. The money doesn't bring me joy because I don't have it, so the things that I have bring me joy. So I started last night because I got kind of impatient. Took off the books from the shelf over here. There's a lot of plants in this room. There's this giant monstera. There's a fiddly fig sitting in the chair because it had nowhere else to be. There's a giant snake plant here. There's a couple of figs that need very much help. Some of the plants need maintenance, like this pothos up here. We're not going to talk about her. She's bouncing back, but she needs a trim to get rid of her dead ends. That's also for me to do. May or may not do it on camera, but I tend to put a lot of pressure on myself with filming stuff because I want it to be like perfect or whatever, but I also find myself enjoying the content on like social media or YouTube of like normalizing regular lives and like people, normalizing kind of a mess. Like I have, this is my desk and it's pretty clean, for example, but this stack here is like a journal, a laptop, like a soon-to-be scrapbook, just a stack of things, and it looks kind of messy, but then I don't know, but it's useful, and I'm like, I go through it every day and use aspects of it, so I don't know. Anyway, I want to eventually turn this into, or I guess like what I want to make of this content, that the ideas that are in my head. Hold on one second. We have a cockatiel. We have 6 cockatiels, but one of them is upstairs and he kind of freaks out sometimes when he can't see me but can hear me talking. So you may hear that in the background. I really hope you don't though. So I'm gonna go like pacify him and then I'll be right back. I think you should be good now. What I wanna do, I wanna do my 2025 TBR, maybe recap what I did in 2024. I have a book club that I started when I moved to Chicago. I kind of made this book club based on the neighborhood so that we would all be near each other and then we could just try out different spots around the neighborhood for the book club meetings. It's called Page Turners Anonymous, and I wanted to do that because then we could call them PTA meetings. And I understand that's kind of cringe, but I thought it was funny at the time, so we're gonna stick with it. So I can go into some detail about that, and then there was something else I have written down and I will figure out what that was. But what I want to go ahead and do is, and I'm probably gonna film this like a time lapse, is me just taking everything off the shelf, scanning everything. If I want to donate, like like make a pile for that. I'm gonna add anything to the TBR, which ambitious of me to make a TBR because I find it hard to sit down and devote time to reading something because it means I can't do anything else. I do audiobooks for sure. I tend to do that more with classics or with like the book club reads because I really have to get through it, and I tend to not allow myself to like prioritize my joy yet. I'm working on it. I'm not there yet, but I'm working on it to just sit and relax and just read. I also have not been able to get ADHD medication in a while because of a shortage is what I keep being told. I don't know why I did that. If it's a shortage, it's a shortage, but yeah, so I find it hard to sit and just focus and like shut off everything in my brain if it's not happening with me like a conversation like I feel like an audiobook is. But I am currently reading Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I feel like that series is very, I know what it's about, even though I'm only in Red Rising so far, and it's what motivated me to read this series, and I think that it's very appropriate for the political climate of the world right now, of the United States right now at least. I'll get back into that. I think the next thing you're gonna see is probably the time lapse of me just scanning everything, and maybe I'll take a break in between and just, if there's something I want to say about certain books that I'm scanning, maybe I'll do that, or I might just put it all at the end. Like if I want to talk about a book or add it to my TBR, I'll just set it aside and then do something with it later. See you in a second. So I'm gonna open Book Buddy and add books. I'm gonna scan multiple barcodes and then start scanning. Then after you hit done, it shows you all of the books that you just scanned, and then save. And there were a couple that would not let me, so I'm going to enter the ISBN. You can scan it with your camera. See? Okay. There's no ISBN number on this book? Huh. Alrighty then. Maybe like if I'm just not smart and not able to understand that one of those numbers is an ISBN. I don't know. Anyway, cool. I'm also really interested to see what my total of books is when I'm done. Right now it says 124. I don't know if it'll focus so you can see that. Right now it says 124, so I'm really excited about that. So I'm gonna add these back to the shelf and then move to another one. Give me 1 second. So now this shelf looks so nice. This shelf looks okay. This one's back to how it looked before, but not dusty. And now there's books that don't have anywhere to be. And I hate how it looks when I stack stuff on top of them. It just looks so good and clean like this. Why can't we all be this way? Why can't we all have enough room for all the books that we want without having to rearrange things? Okay. I've cleared off 2 more shelves. You're sitting on one, and then above it is the other empty shelf. Above that are 2 more full shelves of fantasy. I read a ton of fantasy. I am a huge Sarah J Maas fan. I read Fourth Wing and I loved Fourth Wing. And I have two copies of Fourth Wing, one copy of Iron Flame, and I haven't read Iron Flame because like I got the special edition. Oh, it's just sprayed. Yep, it's sprayed it. Just okay. That was dumb. I read Fourth Wing and I loved it, and then after Iron Flame came out, I heard so much about Violet being whiny and about Violet and Xaden having like a essentially forced miscommunication through the whole thing, and I hate that with a passion. So I haven't brought myself to read it yet. I'll get there soon. Onyx Storm just came out today. I haven't bought it yet. I'm not going to until I get through Iron Flame, just to see if I'm going to keep on with the series. I hope so, because I loved Fourth Wing, but we'll see. So you're about to see a lot of fantasy stuff because I'm gonna go through, it's all kind of mixed. There's some children's stuff in here, which is also fantasy. Magic Treehouse stands where you at. So I'm gonna go through this and just film it on my camera while I scan with my phone and hope that I can just stop whenever I want and talk to you about them. This is The Awakening by Kate Chopin, and this is the book that started my love of literature. In my sophomore year of high school, I took an AP Lit class, and she had us read this. Went to high school in Louisiana, and we were actually able to go to Clutcheville, I think? Clutcheville, Louisiana, which I think is inside Guthrie, Louisiana, and see where her house was. Her house burned down, and they preserved it because it was a historic monument. So we had to go and bring something back from the house site. In hindsight, I'm not sure if that's legal, but I brought back a piece of broken brick from the rubble that was just there. So I don't know if my high school English teacher should have told us to do that now that I'm thinking about it. So let's see. The Awakening. Oh, Middlemarch. George Eliot, Middlemarch, and my love for the other booktuber Noelle Gallagher got me on this. She did some like paper story presentation, whatever, for her master's degree about Middlemarch and the use of necks and how like a neck and the description of necks were used to like manipulate the emotions of men or something, and that just stuck with me. And again, she's one of my favorite like book YouTubers, so I just have to make myself get through it. I've started it twice and it's feeling very Jane Austen-y for me, like that style of writing and that era, and I think I need to be in a certain mindset for that. I'm a big mood reader, so I'm gonna have to get with that. Picture of Dorian Gray, loved, 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 loved. Dusty books are gonna make me sneeze. Oh god. The Secret History by Donna Tartt. We read this for book club. I think it was our first book club read, or no, our second book club read, and it was okay. And I see all of the hype about the dark academia bit of things. I'm just not a fan. I wasn't a fan at the end of it, and this could be mean, I guess, but I listened to the audiobook because I was moving and we were driving like 14-hour drive, and I just am not someone whose ears are compatible with Donna Tartt's voice, and she read the whole thing and it was a 22-hour audiobook. So I'm not sure that based on the incompatibility that I am someone who should be giving any kind of review to the book itself. My gorgeous, beautiful friend Lizzie gifted me, hold on, trying to think and act at the same time is not easy for the ADHD'd. Gorgeous friend Lizzie gifted me this entire, like, I don't know if it's a special edition set, gifted me this entire 6-book Deals with Demons series by Stasha Stark. I'm obsessed. But they're also like that matte cover, so they are just divine to touch if you're a sensory person. But I'm afraid if I touch it too much, I'll damage the cover or the film or whatever's on it that makes it feel this way. So I have to be careful. But I adore her, and she surprised me with these, and it was the biggest surprise, and I loved it. So can't say enough good things. She also gifted me these really cool, I'm a huge Swiftie, gifted me these really cool like coasters, but they're the Lover Live from Paris style, like vinyl. It was like a limited edition release. They just released something else of it, like a reprint or something. I haven't kept up super heavy on the details. 1 second, my bird is going off again. Anyway, these are really cool. I'm absolutely not using these as actual coasters. They are staying on my bookshelves. I have the books, the first 2 books I think, of The Shadow of the Gods, and then I also have The Hunger of the Gods. And I bought this one first because I thought it was the first book, but it wasn't. So then I had to pick up The Shadow of the Gods. I really want to get around to these soon. I bought these like 2 years ago, and it makes me so sad that like I get to points that like some of my books have started to turn yellow. Like the pages are turning yellow because I've had them for so long. This book is Ambergris by Jeff Vandermeer, and I have seen this in I had seen this in Barnes & Noble over and over and over and over and over and over again, and finally picked it up because I've read the blurb and it just looks so interesting to me. So if you get the chance, look this up. It's called Ambergris, A-M-B-E-R-G-R-I-S. Maybe it'll focus, maybe it won't. Great. This, oh my gosh. This is one of my favorite things that I've bought. Haven't read it yet, so I don't know. But this beautiful person, Garrett Kerbo, I found on TikTok forever ago. It won't focus. Came across his videos when he was promoting his book. This was his first book, Daughter of Light, and the concept sounded really cool. Everything looked cool, and I liked his vibe, so I purchased the book. And now I have it, but I've had it for 2 years and I haven't read it yet. So I really need to get into some things that have been on my shelf, but such as the curse of the reader, where buying books is one hobby and reading books is another hobby. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna add it to the very ambitious TBR pile, and maybe I'll have like a record year of reading this year. Who knows? Maybe I'll have like a failure at the end. We don't know. Haven't read anything by V.E. Schwab but The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and I love the writing in the book. Hated the story, hated the ending, wanted the 4 hours that it took me to read it back. I'll never get it back though. But I've heard great things about her other books. Hopefully those can jive with me as well. A lot of books that I'm seeing here are recommendations from Noelle Gallagher, whom I miss dearly from the bottom of my soul. I think about that woman once a week, at least, and she's been gone forever. So many things were directed toward me that she could never have known because she doesn't know who I am. But there are so many things that she's recommended that I have copies of that I just haven't read. So The Silence of the Girls is one. Yeah, I already scanned this one. Maybe so. Yep, I did. What is this? Crooked Kingdom. Six of Crows is in my, oh, it's in my TBR pile, which the rest of the pile is in the living room. This also have heard so many good things about. It's the, I guess, trilogy? Yeah, it's a trilogy. Furyborn by Claire Legrand, I think is the, yeah, Furyborn. I've heard a lot about it. If you like ACOTAR, you'll like this. Haven't read it yet. That's just what I've heard a lot about. And so I've, of course, bought the whole trilogy. No clue what it's about. Just know that it's like a strong female lead and a fantasy setting. I thought there was more than one of this. Just kidding. This is Sorcery of Thorns. Heard a lot about this as well. Margaret Rogerson. So we'll see what happens. Lots of things that I'm seeing that I'm excited to read. The 10,000 Doors of January that I have not read yet. And then Plated Prisoner series. I have the first 3. There's another stack over here. If you know, you know. To Kill a Kingdom. Heard a ton about this. Have not done anything with it yet. Again, there's maybe like, I'm honestly at like half, I think, maybe 50% of all of the, gosh, of all of the fantasy books that I have. I think I've read half. The High Mountain Court, which I believe was like a Spawn spin-off of like the vibes of ACOTAR. House of Salt and Sorrows. I don't remember anything about what it's about, but I knew that I would love it, so we'll see. This has been on my TBR for ages. The Atlas 6. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. Nevernight by J. Kristoff. Gods of Jade and Shadow. The Savage and the Swan. This is another like a matte print cover. So satisfying to touch, but I thought the color contrast was really cool in this too. So I thought that was neat. It was a really good book. A little bit fast paced, especially the ending. But a really good book. The smut was smutty and the plot was plotty. The Bridge Kingdom is what I was talking about. I think this is a series. I don't remember though. Heard a lot about it. Hopefully it's good. Heard a lot about all of these. I don't know why I'm saying it so much. Sisters of Sword and Song. The Gilded Wolves. I also listened to or watch like Leonie's vlogs about like reading and stuff and just all the book content. I think she's the Book Leo on YouTube. Heard about this from her forever ago and she loved it, so she's given me a good list of recommendations in the past, so I kind of trust her on like fantasy things. At least I think that's where we align. Heard loads about this, A Sky in the Deep, and I think the second one is right here. The Girl the Sea Gave Back. I got this one first and then learned about the first book, so I went back and got the first book. It's another John Gwynne thing. Not the author, but the situation of like the Hunger of the Gods. This one is a hardcover. I got these off of Facebook Marketplace, but The Serpent and the Wings of Night is up here in a paperback, but this is the hardcover of the second book. Read the first book, not the second book, so hopefully I can get to that this year as well. So that's all for Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Okay. Scanned 51 books, 5 of them were not found. What does that mean? And what books were they? All right, I'm gonna organize these, put them back on their shelves, and then I'll see you in a minute. Hi, welcome back. That was for me, not for you. It's like a week later from when I was filming before. I am a chronically ill person, chronic pain, chronic body problems, autoimmune issues, and also a severe introvert. So I find myself having a really hard time doing multiple things in a day. And if I'm chatting a lot, it takes energy out of me like crazy, but we all know what an introvert is. I'm right now having like pre-migraine headache symptoms. I just took my hair down because it hurts a lot to have it up because I have long hair. It's not nearly as heavy as it used to be. It's kind of tangled. Leave me alone. It's not as heavy. Like I had a bunch of layers put into it, which you can't see right now, but there's some. And for some reason it's just really heavy on my head, but it feels like the pressure is gone whenever I take my hair down. Also, my bangs and I have never been on the same page, so don't judge me. I am back to do more book scanning with the BookBuddy app. And again, the whole goal is to get the entire situation done. I'm gonna get right into that. I am getting my master's in English Lit, and I have been able to choose, like, in every class they'll give you like a reading list of different books that follow different themes, and they'll have like 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 books per theme, and I tended to lean toward more feminist picks like Simone de Beauvoir, Adrienne Rich. Again, I have a headache, so my brain is not working super well, but I have several books that are class related, and I'm very excited to have everything scanned and like to just be able to look in an app and know everything that I have. Oh, I also put this shelf, everything's a mess, so just don't look at it, but I put this shelf up just to have like a little bit of extra space to store things, so hopefully that'll help. Billy is also out, and he is right outside the door talking a lot now. So Jack Edwards is one of my favorite booktubers, and he has recommended White Nights by Dostoevsky more times than I can count in my experience watching his videos. So I'm excited to read that. I know it's sold as like a standalone like short story situation, but it just wasn't available where I was like looking to buy the book. So I had to buy like a short story collection of Dostoevsky's work. I am now onto like a fantasy shelf. I have like 3 different copies of The Secret History by Donna Tartt. It was okay. Like I think in hindsight for me this is like a 3 out of 10. No, I'm getting out of 5. It was okay. It's a book and it was published, so there's that. I don't know that I have the heart or the good opinion of it to give it more than that, but you probably saw that, huh? Maybe not. Oh, what is this? Oh my gosh, wow. This is a box of feathers. We have cockatiels, as you can hear. Our very first cockatiel, Olive, I got when he was a baby, and I had him for 2 years when a freak accident happened and he got out of the house and we weren't able to get him again. This is like a collection of his feathers that I saved when he was little. Yeah, so I forgot that was in here. I'm moving on to the fantasy shelf. There's the Crescent City series, which I love. I'm obsessed with this series, and it's just, if you know me or if you're like me, then you'll know that I adore a brick of a book, and especially, first of all, if you're a standalone, you're gonna have to be a brick for me to want to read you. But like if you're a standalone and you're not like this, or at least like that, then what you couldn't possibly have enough room for the plot, the world building, the character development that I like to see in a book for me to finish the book, put it down, and be like, damn, that was good. Just the fact that like that's these are all Crescent City, just like hardcovers, paperbacks. These are the 2 like the 2 Barnes & Noble editions that were like the special art, and they do look really cool, but I don't think that I needed those specifically for any particular reason. And then of course I have ACOTAR, which it destroys me every time I think about the fact that there's a person in the world who said, hey, the rest of the series is like pretty much mostly sold everywhere in paperback, but let's like hard push this 5th book as a hardcover that's like 1.5 inches taller than the rest of the fucking books. Like, who? I'm worried about like my credit score and societal constructs, and this person got to make that decision and had other people say, okay, yeah, that's good, let's do that. And I'm not sure that's okay. I don't think that should be allowed in the world. This is crazy. This isn't even all of Sarah J Maas. I love this woman. So it's this, that's all Crescent City, and then some ACOTAR, and then up there we'll get to Throne of Glass, and then like an all hardcover and special edition version of ACOTAR. We'll get there. More scanning. Okay, so far I've scanned 226 books, and I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 shelves to go. Not even 9, 10, 11, 12 shelves to go. Should be good. Maybe I'll have enough to actually call it a library. Maybe I'll hit 1,000, so that would be cool. All right, I'm gonna organize these back on the shelf, dust it, and then I'll be back. I don't remember if I talked about this before, but I did want to show a couple of things that if you want to support somebody on Etsy. These are book sleeves, and you can get them in, like, there's this size. So it's this, like, really soft, like, kind of padded material. It's like a kind of a hairband for a closure right there. And then it loops around this button in the front. And you can get them just the sleeve, you can get them with a pocket for, like, a pen, and then like your Kindle or a notepad or stickers, like the, oh my gosh, the annotation tabs to go in there. But this is from, her shop is called C. Pickering Co. on Etsy, but her name is Carrie Pickering, and this woman does so many, like there's different sizes, pockets, no pockets, 110 different designs. Not exactly 110, but a fuck ton. There's even like darker, spooky kind of stuff. I have this like darker floral, and I had more of these, but I gave them as like gifts whenever I was like moving away. I don't know if you can see that very well, but yeah, there we go. But yeah, they're great. Like this one has 3 different small books inside. Then she has like the big ones for like a huge paperback, and I cannot recommend her or her stuff enough. And I guess just to like show you the size capacity, this is the, I think the biggest one that she makes, and this is like the hardcover of House of Sky and Breath, and it fits. It would probably fit better if it had the smooth book jacket. Let me try this one, because that, if you've seen that or used that at all, it's the like matte feeling dust jacket, but it will fit almost. I can't close, oh, I can close it. Okay, it will close, and it will just protect your book except for maybe the top if it's huge. But this goes to show you like how much it can hold. And they're really cute, they're really padded. I love them if you're a big fan of carrying around like the physical copy of your book and not like your Kindle or whatever. Oh, she also does these like wrap around the front of your book, and you can stick like annotation tabs, like a pen, whatever else you want in here, your bookmark while you're reading, and it just like wraps around the, oh my gosh, okay. Can sit on the front of your book, or I guess the back or the inside cover, depending on what it is. And it's still like really stretchy. It's not like bending the top of anything. I said, oh my gosh, because I read these books on like the Crescent City series on my Kindle, and then I just bought the physical copies for like trophies because I love them. But I just opened this and I haven't seen the inside. That's gorgeous. Wow. Okay. Anyway, okay, so I'm gonna get back to putting these back on the shelf. Very excited to see what she does next in this series or the others. A Court of Thorns and Roses, Court of Mist and Fury, Wings and Ruin, Frosted Starlight, Silver Flames. And also, please tell me that you agree that the whole like all black version of ACOTAR covers is so bogus. Like, give me a break. Nobody asked for that, first of all. Second of all, it's not a finished series. So honestly, who did you think was gonna be like, actually, yeah, give me that. Like another copy that's very bland of this unfinished series that I don't know the ending about. Like I need more context, please. For whether or not, okay, I'm fighting these books. Hold on. So now I am moving on to a more messy shelf, I guess. It's the like kind of classics, kind of like stash of everything else shelf. So it's like classics and then a couple of books that I've had to read for my degree. It's like Jane Austen, Beowulf, Khaled Hosseini. Huge Taylor Swift fan. So there's some bracelets that I wanted to keep from the Eras tour. I love chicken. I am a huge fan of like the $7 like 100 packs of the annotation tabs on Amazon. Cannot recommend enough. Lots of crystals. I am a pagan, so there's a lot of crystals and mushrooms and like earth Ruthie shit in here. So this is one of my most prized possessions. My best friend Cameron, we moved here from we moved to Chicago from Louisiana in March of 2024, and I worked at the hospital. Like, it was a hospital med school. Every Friday they had like seafood or like a specialty something, and it was typically gumbo on Fridays, and the gumbo was so good. Like, it was, you had to get there to get in line to get gumbo, and once they were out, they were out. And I was afraid moving, it was the first time that we moved, and I was afraid moving that I would come to the north and not be able to, like, not rely on myself to make a good gumbo, and then also not be able to find gumbo anywhere because it's a completely different place culturally. I have since made gumbo and have like gotten it down to a T of how I like to do it, but this was it was part of like a basket that Cameron gave me whenever I was leaving, and I cannot begin to tell you how much it means to me when someone has listened to me, just in terms of like, we've been friends for a long time, so she had months to listen to me, and just like, it showed to me that she had actually listened to what I had said and like cared enough to recall, and then put together like this awesome basket of like, I think cracklins, some like jambalaya packets, I think, and like seasoning for jambalaya. And then this book, which is, it's called Cooking Up a Storm, and it's a cookbook from, oh my god, this is gonna make me cry. It says recipes lost and found from the Times-Picayune of New Orleans, and it's recipes that came from like the Hurricane Katrina times. And it's, I thought the title is so clever. I'm like stammering now, I can't. After Hurricane Katrina tore through New Orleans in 2005, Cooking Up a Storm was published to tell the story, recipe by recipe, of one of the great food cities in the world and the determination of its citizens to preserve and safeguard their culinary legacy. 10 years later, the city is back in business. This hardcover edition of the original cookbook is here to celebrate the community's rebirth by reminding us of the beloved recipes that clearly belong only to the city of New Orleans. And there are so many good recipes in here. Like, I cannot. And it looks so nice, and the pages, if you're a texture person, the pages feel so good. I love this book. And even if I'm not someone who like references cookbooks all the time, it just makes my heart so happy to see it and to hold it. So, and it's like a little piece of her is here with me. I'll have to add this by ISBN. A dictionary of word and phrase origins, and I got this from a thrift shop that's like right around the corner from us. This is old. Oh my gosh. Ooh. Oh, it smells like an old bookstore. Okay. Maybe not in the best way. Shakespeare, Stephen King. So that was Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad, the horror. Herman Melville, this was about, we read Bartleby. Chaucer, The Canterbury Tales. This is Stephen King, The Shining, and yeah, that's not gonna scan. I'll have to scan that separately. This is like a collection of Shakespeare's works: Hamlet, Othello, King Lear, and Macbeth. But you can, I don't think I've ever even opened this. This is like the tiniest print possible. Yeah, this giant complete works of William Shakespeare: King Lear, Macbeth, Hamlet, Prince of Denmark, Romeo and Juliet, A Midsummer Night's Dream, Othello, The Moor of Venice, The Merchant of Venice, and more. Oh my gosh. Okay. Holy smokes. Okay, Bible. That's crazy. I'm so glad that it's normalized to just smell your books. I also did a lot of stuff with Jane Austen throughout this degree, so there's an interesting thing here, somewhere in here. So I have like every copy of everything, or a copy of everything that Jane Austen has written. There's Sense and Sensibility, it's beautiful. Pride and Prejudice. There's Emily Bronte, Wuthering Heights. I honestly may not be able to finish this like I thought I was going to be able to. My head is getting a lot worse. So I did a bunch of stuff with Jane Austen. I say a bunch of stuff, like I wrote 2 papers, and it was like the final paper for each class, 2 different classes. And I found this like PDF version of this online and was able to reference it in pieces from online, but I needed the whole thing. So this Massimiliano Marini, bro, thank you, because this was a huge help to me. There's only 3 tabs in it, but I've already like written different things in it from then, and it was a huge help, and it was cool to like find what someone else had written and published to use as a reference for my paper. So that was kind of a neat experience. And then there was also something that I was writing something with, working with Faulkner, and had found like a paper that I wanted to use to reference in my work, and found the article on JSTOR, but JSTOR wanted like $40 for a copy of the article. So I looked up the writer, and she was like a faculty member at University of Illinois or Michigan or something. It was As I Lay Dying was the book actually, which I hated this. This was crazy. It makes me wonder why certain things became classics. Like, why do we talk about this? Like, sure there's lessons in there, but they're lessons that you can get from a very different, way better story. Anyway, but yeah, so I reached out to her via email and was like, hey, like, I'm working on this paper. Here's what my paper's about. And I found your paper and wanted to see if I could reference it, but I can't find a copy of it. And if you have a copy of it, I would be grateful if you could share it with me. And she did. And then in her reply back to me, she mentioned that like she was like 25 years old and in her master's program writing about the same book. It really got me in my feelings that this woman like 20 years prior had been in the same class. It was like literary theory, had been in the same class and like was writing about the same book and damn near the same topic. And that really like I get into my head about that kind of stuff all the time, about how many different versions of reality are out there. Like every single person that you see like driving on the highway or walking through the city have their own version of reality. Like they're going home to a different home than everyone else really. And I stay in my head about this kind of stuff, so I thought it was really cool that I got to experience that like organically with this person. So I am just yapping today. Also, don't ask me why throughout this fucking situation you will see that I have a bunch of copies of things that I hated. Like I hated with a passion Heart of Darkness, but I have like 5 copies of it and I don't know why. Also, I was reading Wuthering Heights and I could not get through it fast enough and my paper was due, so I needed some like references and like to know where to go in the book to get the pieces that I knew existed but I had not gotten to yet. Shout out to SparkNote and Cliff Notes, love them. This actually came from my, at the time, boyfriend but now husband, is Beowulf, and he had this from high school, I think. It's like a double edition, bilingual, so it's translated in like one language on the left and then English on the right. So that was very helpful for me, but I also felt like I was getting through it like crazy fast because you're only reading like half of, like you're only reading like this page. That was cool. Plus I think this looks cool. So thanks, Seamus Herney. I'm gonna take a break, organize these books, put them back on the shelf, and then see if I can go on. So I might take a break, take some medicine, and maybe continue this tomorrow. This might be a long video, but it'll have a bunch of shit in it. Okay, it's a hot minute later. The room that I'm in is currently a mess of books there. I have cleared this shelf, these top shelves. All of that has been done. All of this has been done. And I still have those 3 and whatever is behind there to go. I honestly might not do what's back there because it's just like medical textbooks. So it looks like a catastrophe because there's all the little like crystals and trinkets there. There's a couple of books on the shelf over here too. I am in, hi Bubba. Hello. I am in Chicago and it is a surprisingly rare rainy day. I thought it would rain more here, but it honestly just snows more in the winter. But I love a rainy day. So very excited about it. Gonna one of my favorite things to do ever. I have some plants that I'm losing. Like this one, I'm just gonna chop and propagate. This one's pretty much gone. I'll try and propagate that one leaf if there's a growth nodule that I can clip, but I'm gonna be losing that plant, which is very sad to me, but it will be okay. I also have been making bread. So these are rising. They have another 12 minutes. Actually, I can go ahead and score these. And there's a bread lame, and then those are scored. Gonna go ahead and cover those back up. We made recipe cards. We made recipe cards a while back for like all of our go-to recipes. So I have this French bread recipe card. So yeah, we're making that. I need to preheat the oven to 375 and then get out whatever's in the oven, which is like a Dutch oven. And then just whisk this a bit to make the egg wash. And then I will be back for this to wash the loaves and then put them back in the oven to bake. Fresh from an egg bath. And they are going into a 375 degree, God, they're heavy, preheated oven. And we're gonna bake them for 25 minutes, and we'll see how they look after. So I'm in the floor and I'm using a shitty ring light, and you are on my Canon stacked on top of like 15 books, which is a TBR and a very ambitious one. I took down the shelves that I showed you earlier, and they're all just stacked around me, so I'm just gonna pound through the scanning and go from there. Is axolotl supposed to be there? From those two stacks, I set aside a couple that I wanted to talk about. This I found, and it's a huge like memory thing for me. It's an I love you journal, and it's like, this was from, God, who knows what year. Over 10 years ago. I'm 30 right now. It says I was 19 and he was 20. And it gives you these prompts of like things that it was asking me. And so I filled it out, and I gave him one, and then I kept one. And I filled mine out and gave it to him, and I don't think he ever finished filling his out, which is funny because that's so him. I also didn't finish mine though, but I got through a fair bit of it. This is really a sweet thing to have to keep. These two books, A Truth Worth Telling by Toni Teeple and Ellen Foster by Kay Gibbons. These two things are such a beautiful representation, each one of them is, about Southern trauma and exactly how it can manifest. They're absolutely haunting stories. They're not horror stories. They're just like literary fiction, honestly. And they're both really tiny, super short to get through. But I read these in high school, which is wild to think that they were like, hey, high schooler, 15, 16, 17-year-old, read these. They will really impact you in a non-positive way. I definitely recommend them though, because they stick with you, and I still remember them, and I'm 30 and I read them like 15 years ago. So The Light Between Oceans, I've had this for, it's turning yellow. I've had this for also probably since high school, and I have wanted to read this. So I'm gonna put this in my TBR stack. There's like 6 books here I'm adding to it. When I tell you the TBR is crazy ambitious, maybe something will happen to me and I will just have loads of time and motivation to actually sit down and read and get through this, but it could happen. Who knows? I'm not a psychic, so I don't know the future. After 4 harrowing years on the Western Front, Tom Sherborne returns to Australia and takes a job as the lighthouse keeper on Janus Rock, nearly half a day's journey from the coast, to this isolated island where the supply boat comes once a season and shore leaves are granted every other year at best. Tom brings a young, bold, and loving wife, Isabel. Years later, after 2 miscarriages and 1 stillbirth, the grieving Isabel hears a baby's cries on the wind. A boat has washed up on shore carrying a dead man and a living baby. Tom, whose records as a lighthouse keeper are meticulous and whose moral principles have withstood a horrific war, wants to report the man and the infant immediately, but Isabel has taken the tiny baby to her breast. Against Tom's judgment, they claim her as their own and name her Lucy. When she is 2, Tom and Isabel return to the mainland and are reminded that there are other people in the world. Their choice has devastated one of them. I've always thought this was interesting, and this has low-key been in the back of my head forever. The back of my mind forever, and I'm really excited to actually finally get through this. It's like 300 and something pages. Not too much, honestly. Yeah, 305 pages. So excited for that. Hood Feminism, I just need to read. I know that I do. I've had it for a minute and I just haven't. I'm a big mood reader, so I just haven't taken to it, but I just know that I want to be as aware of everything that I can, like culturally and in the current happenings of the world, and this would be a beautiful installment in that, and I know because I've had so many people recommend this to me for all the right reasons. Going on the pile. I love the vibe of like middle grade reading books, and sometimes like the stories just get me, or like the cover and the blurb get me, but this is A Wolf Called Wander by Roseanne Perry, P-A-R-R-Y, and I just loved the blurb. It says, Swift, a wild wolf cub, lives with his pack in the mountains. When a rival pack attacks, Swift and his family scatter, and Swift sets out on an incredible journey through dense forests into barren wilderness and across flowing water. The trip is dangerous and full of peril, and Swift encounters fire, hunger, hunters, and highways as he wanders. Will Swift find the courage to survive? Will he ever find a place to call home? And then it says, A Wolf Called Wander is based on the extraordinary true story of a wolf named OR-7, and often called Journey, a wild wolf who traveled a remarkable 1,000 miles across the Pacific Northwest. And then there's a picture of OR-7 on the cover, or on the back cover. So it is middle grade reading, like lots of pictures, big words, well spaced. And it's about like 233 pages. So I think this would be a great like daily read, like just to get through it in a day, to be enjoyed. And I've had that for like 6 months now. This is the Best American Short Stories, and it's put together by the editor Andrew Sean Greer. This is from 2022. I think I picked this up at an airport when my husband and I were traveling at some point. Would love to get into this, even if it's like a read one a day thing, or like 3 a week or something, just to get through it. I love collections like that. My book club does literary fiction, and I saw this, found it organically at Barnes & Noble, liked the blurb, and just picked it up. It's not something I would gravitate toward reading, but I did like the blurb, so I think that if I pushed myself to get into it, it'd probably be good. It may also be great for the book club, because it is literary fiction. But it's Before We Were Yours by Lisa Wingate. It says, Memphis, 1939, 12-year-old Rill Foss and her 4 younger siblings live a magical life aboard their family's Mississippi River shanty boat. But when their father must rush their mother to the hospital one stormy night, Rill is left in charge until strangers arrive in force. Wrenched from all that is familiar and thrown into a Tennessee Children's Home Society orphanage, the Foss children are assured that they will soon be returned to their parents, but they quickly realize the dark truth. At the mercy of the facility's real-life director, the cruel Georgia Tan, Rill fights to keep her sisters and brother together. Aiken, South Carolina, present day. Born into wealth and privilege, Avery Stafford seems to have it all. A successful career, a handsome fiancé, and a lavish wedding on the horizon. When she returns home to help her father weather a health crisis, a chance encounter leaves her with uncomfortable questions and compels her to take a journey through her family's long-hidden history on a path that will ultimately lead either to devastation or to redemption. I think it would be fun and wholesome, hopefully. Maybe it'll make me cry, who knows. Orbiting Jupiter, I read on I read it on the flight to Denver, Colorado from Shreveport, Louisiana, when my husband, boyfriend at the time, fiance I guess at the time, were eloping. We went to Denver, Colorado because it's one of our favorite places to be, and Colorado also still does self-solemnization for weddings. So you can just go to a government center with like the right documents, like your birth certificates, social security cards I think, and then your IDs, and you fill out your marriage license, and then someone immediately files it, so you don't have to have like a priest or like an ordained whatever officiant there. We pretty much live in like the center of Chicago, so the song of the city. You walk in unmarried, you sign papers, they file it immediately and give you a bunch of copies of it if you want, and then you leave and you're married. And you can go and like do your vows on top of a mountain if you want to, or however you want to do it. You can even have your dog be as your like officiant, and can like paw print your marriage license with a paw print of your dog doing it. Anyway, I read this book, Orbiting Jupiter by Gary Schmidt, and it was really, really good. It was a quick read. It's really tiny, and the spacing on the pages is crazy. Like, it looks like it's a middle grade book, but it's not. And essentially, these 2 foster kids meet, and the one that has come into this other foster kid's home, that is like a teenage boy, and that teenage boy has a daughter already, and so he's been separated from her by the foster system, and he just keeps wanting to get back to her, and his daughter's name is Jupiter, and so it's all about how, does it say? Yeah, Joseph. So Joseph is Jupiter's father and Jack's foster brother. It was a really good story. My husband took a picture of me crying in the airport when I finished it, and it was very touching and very quick, and it just like, it reminds me of the same, not the vibes, but like how it left me feeling as Foster by Claire Keegan. It's a 2-hour audiobook. It's very, very short, and it left me with the same kind of feeling that this book left me with, which is like a really, not sad, but like a really like poignant, wholesome love kind of feeling. And then the last thing from that stack is Paradise Lost by John Milton. I adore this cover. Like, I think it's great. And it's a little tiny brick of a book. It's written, ew, had not looked into it yet. It looks like the Bible to me for some reason, and I am not a fan of Christianity. Oh, there's more in this book than just the story. Got it. That's why it's written like the Bible. Well, why did I forget exactly what this book was about? John Milton's Paradise Lost, an epic poem on the clash between God and his fallen angel Satan, is a profound meditation on fate, free will, and divinity, and one of the most beautiful works in the world, world literature. Extracted from the modern libraries, highly acclaimed, the complete poetry and essential prose of John Milton. This edition reflects up-to-date scholarship, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I completely forgot what this was about. Like, I'm like, oh, it looks like the Bible. It's about this fight between God and Satan. Love that. This is on my to-read list, even though I am not a fan of Christianity. Anyway, back to scanning. I'm gonna have to go check the bread in a minute, and I would like you to do that as well. I'm currently on the stack of graphic novels, manga, getting into that now. Some of these I have read, some of these I haven't. Getting the bread out now. So it always makes these two giant loaves. Oh, the fucking scoring went all the way on the other side. Great. But they are thick boys, so they are gonna cool, and then we will have some delicious bread. I am taking a break. I am watching Jack in the Books. It's Jack Edwards, the booktuber. It's his second channel. But I got book mail from Amazon. So I read The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna and The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna, and I loved them. But I listened to the audiobook for this one and then the audiobook for The Four Winds, and I loved it. Like, I ate them up. Like, I could not get enough. She's like top favorite writers. I don't think I have numbers for that. I can't have numbers for that because there's so many good writers, but got the trophy for it. I got The Four Winds, which is in my office, and then this is on my TBR for this year, is the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin, and it's part of the series, the Broken Earth series, right? It's the first book in that. Oh, and I also got a new record, Cigarettes After Sex. This album is so good. Falling in Love was the song that I heard first, but I've heard all the other ones and they're really good. It's a really chill album just to put on in the background, and it's so nice. It is short. It's only like 9 songs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah, 9 songs, but every minute is great. I just finished scanning all of the graphic novels and manga that I have. I'm gonna show you what I have. There's the entire Heartstopper collection. There's a Heartstopper coloring book behind me. There is a 2-part, if the 3rd part's come out yet, I have not kept up with it to know, but I have volumes 1 and 2 of my summer review. Keeping with that vibe, there's The Two Lions. I have not read it yet, but it's on my, or it's going in the pile of things to read. The Lightfall series, this is the first one, The Girl in the Galdurian. I heard about this from Allison Pages on YouTube, and she has kind of indefinitely left YouTube and like content creation for health reasons, and I hope she sees this. I might tag her, but I hope she sees this to know that she is so missed. This is not to urge her back by any means. I rewatch her content almost constantly. It is great. She's very like neurodivergent, autistic. I so hope that you cannot hear my bird just screaming in the back. His door is open to his cage, but he acts like he's a prisoner. He could be in here if he wanted to be, but he just does not like to know that he is free, or like he won't accept that he is free to move about the house as he pleases. But she is the epitome of cozy fantasy. She embodies all of that in her surroundings, and her tattoos, and her vibe, her voice, her laugh. She's wonderful, and I miss her dearly. But I got this recommendation from her, and it is so wonderful. The graphics are just insane. The colors are great. Like, it's a thick, heavy book. You wanna go up there, Bubba? This is my beautiful baby dog. He wants to go onto the chair. Oh my gosh. Can't believe that just worked. So now he is sitting over there like a beautiful baby. I love you, Bubba. You're so handsome with a squishmallow. I love you. He's like, what the fuck is all this, Mom? The Lightfall series, The Girl in the Galdurian. This is book 1. Book 2 is on my TBR shelf out there that carried over from last year. So, Ali Brosh. Those are the 2 words that I have for you if you like to be happy. If you enjoy kooky, quirky drawings of this nature. Are you joking? Like, it just makes me want to laugh. So I found her organically through the internet. Like, where she used to make these. She used to write this online. Like, this was on a webpage that you could scroll through, like WordPress kind of. I don't think it was WordPress, maybe it was. That's how I found her. And when I tell you, I found her when I was like 16, and I have never, in my whole life since then, I've never laughed harder. I've never enjoyed something comedically as much as I have her work. And so that got published into a book called Hyperbole and a Half. I've read this a grand total of 4 times in my life, and every time I laugh equally as hard. Like, it just, I can't not enjoy this no matter what happens, no matter what goes on. You give me this, I'm gonna read part of it, and I'm just gonna die laughing, and then my mood will be better, and I'll have a headache because I get headaches from laughing. So she wrote this, and then when I went to Colorado with my husband the first time, we went to Tattered Cover before it got bought out, and I was looking around at books, whatever. I saw this on the shelf because they had it out like this instead of this, and I was like, oh my god, I love that book. And then I saw this, and when I tell you, I freaked the fuck out because I didn't know she had written more. I thought she just disappeared, much less wrote and had published an entire thicker second copy. Like, what? What do you mean? I have not read this yet because life is hard and I haven't had the time. But this is goddamn for sure going on my TBR along with the first one so that I can just reread them and enjoy life again. Oh, my TBR fell over. Wonderful. Next recommendation I have is another incredible graphic novel. There's 2 right now, and I think this is it. I don't think she's writing a 3rd one. If she does, I'm all for it. But the first one is called Sheets by Brenna Thumler. And it is incredible. When I tell you that I want to purchase a second copy of this and just cut out and like make a vision board out of the graphics. Are you joking? Look at that. It's the whole thing is just W after W after W. This whole book is incredible. So when I found out the Delicates, the sequel, came out, it was over for me. I ran to the children's section of Barnes & Noble, snatched it off the shelf, and ran to the checkout. Again, a full page. The art is absolutely to die for. Cannot get enough, and the story is good. I think the last thing that two more things that I have to recommend. Also, I think Sheets and Delicates was a rec that came from Allison Pages, as did these 2. The Magic Fish and The Moth Keeper. Both of these were experiences that I wish I could do again for the first time. Like, I tell everyone that I wish I could read A Little Life, ACOTAR, all of my favorite books again for the first time, to get that feeling of not knowing what the fuck is gonna happen and being able to live in that magical, like, oh my god, what's happening next feeling. Magic Fish is real life isn't a fairy tale. In fairy tales, the prince falls in love with the princess, but Tien has a different story to tell. His parents are refugees struggling to learn English, and he doesn't know how to come out to them in Vietnamese. If he doesn't even have the right words, how can he ever know if his parents will accept him? The answer is in fairy tales, a language that Tien and his parents share. Tien learns from his favorite stories as he navigates the world with the help of friends, family, and fairy tales. It was so good, and like the way that the colors change based on which part of the story that you're in. So good. It's essentially a long reading of them. It's like him living his life, and then there's a break where he reads with his parents, and then there's a break in his, or there's like a time for his life, and then it's like they come back home the next day or whatever, and it's like after school he's reading with his parents. So it goes in and out of like this purplish blue color to like a pinkish red, and then there's orange and blue. It's very colory, which I'm just now realizing it's rainbow colors, not necessarily in order, but it's all rainbow colors, and it's an LGBT graphic novel. Love that. The Moth Keeper is also just incredible. The art is so unique, but the story is so good. I refuse to break the spine on these things, but the story is incredible. Being the Moth Keeper is a great honor. Anya is finally taking her place as protector of the moon moth. The luminous creatures enable the night flower to bloom, and the night village needs the flower to thrive. Being the Moth Keeper is a great responsibility. Night after night, it's lonely in the desert, with only one lantern for light. Still, Anya is eager to prove her worth, to show her thanks to her friends in her village. But is it worth the cost? And yet something isn't right. What happens when Anya glimpses the one thing that could destroy what she's meant to protect? The one thing she has secretly longed for her whole life. I can't tell you more than that. It's incredible. It's heartwarming. It's cozy. It's like, it's just so good. And if you love moths and like kind of weird shit, like you're just a quirky witchy girl, then this is great for you, promise. Right, my camera's about to die, so I'm gonna charge the battery, scan some other books, and if I want to talk about some, then I will set them aside to talk with you about, and I will see you in a bit. I've scanned a bunch of my books, and they're literally right here to the tallest stack. I've separated them into like the fantasy, classic, and like either like middle grade reader book, and then graphic novels. There's a stack of Dracula that I'll tell you about in a bit, and then some other things. things you do for a tripod. This is what you're sitting on. I put everything back on those shelves, so they're all good to go. I still have to do this shelf, and this shelf, which is what I think I'm about to get into. And then I'll pretty much be done, except for the one behind me over there, which I'll get to. But I wanted to show you a couple of things first. I've wanted this thing forever, and I finally got it. And now I've lost the playbook to it, but it's a steel tongue drum, and it's tiny, tiny. But just listen to this. Again, there's a songbook, but I don't remember. So I'm just gonna go around it and play it like just in the number sequence. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 2 of these little batons. Okay, yeah, so. Oh, it makes my heart so happy. See, now I'm mishitting, so. It's so cute. I'm obsessed with it. Anyway, that, and then I have like a random weird collection of a bunch of Dracula versions of the book Dracula. I also wanted to make this like little setup. I'll get to that in a second. Also, this is my favorite book light that I've ever seen in my life. It's an amber book light with 3 brightness. The neck is like really bendy. You can do whatever you want with it. And the clip is nice with like a little moving foot to match whatever you're on. It can open very wide. So there's this version of Dracula, which is like, love the sprayed edges of the bats. It's illustrated. It's the inside cover, but there's like illustrations throughout the book. As an example, it's very like Roald Dahl style. Love this cover. It's the Barnes & Noble Signature Classics. Yeah, it's like this matte, beautiful cover. This is just a shitty like Books A Million cover. This is the Barnes & Noble, was it Classics? I forget what this is called. But it's so beautiful. This Barnes & Noble version, if you can't tell, I'm in love with like gothic type stuff, like the style. This one's a mass market paperback. Another mass market paperback that's terrible condition. A cameo by Carmilla, Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu. And then Dracula Daily, which is like, you read Dracula and then there's like internet commentary alongside every part, just where people have like tweeted or like blogged about it, and I just thought it was really interesting, but it also looks really cool. Also wanted to have like a setup where I have like the theme of things. So these are dye. Can you show them this? Yeah, anyway, it's just different colored like black and red and white speckled dye. And then my husband plays Magic the Gathering, and he found these like, I think they're in like a set for Dracula's castle, but it's different lands, but like with different arts. So there's mountains there, this one. And so we tried to find the whole set of the lands that were inspired for like Dracula's castle. And then I just really like the art of them all. So then I also got swamp. Please focus. It's not gonna focus. It's gonna die. Anyway, there's 2 more swamp. There we go. And then a plain. And they just all give the vibe of Dracula's castle. I think that's all for the Dracula part. I found, as soon as I stopped talking about it, moved some stuff around, I found the songbook for the steel tongue drum, so maybe I can do that later and show it to you. But 2 things that I found that I thought were really cool, and I had them, and I was really into like reading physical books at the time. But it's a like page cover. So like you open your book and you lay this on top of it, so it holds your book open, it's clear so you can read through it. And then that's it, and then you just pick it up, flip the page, and move it. It's very tedious, and it's only if you're like maybe reading in a windy area. I don't know. Probably would be good for outside reading if there's no glare. I'm not sure how well that works because I don't think I've ever used this. I just thought it was really cool and I bought it. I also got this, and I think at the airport, because I had a book with me and we were traveling somewhere, but it's like folded up like this. It's like a little book briefcase. Oh yeah, the travel book rest for books and tablets. So it looks like a little suitcase, but you grab the handle, you unvelcro it. This little tongue inserts into this little slot, and then it has these 2 little things that come out, and you put your book or your tablet in it. It just sits and reads. It's like an iPad cover would do. I was editing and I realized that I didn't film an outro at all, so this is that. And I'm gonna go ahead and close up the video. Thank you so much for being here. If you stayed this whole time, you're an absolute trooper because this is a really long video. Way longer than I thought it would be when I sat down to film it. So thank you for being here. Like, comment, subscribe, comment, and tell me if you see any books that you also have that were on my shelves. Let me know what maybe you want to see in the next video. And until then, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!